up 150%. And they say that's forcing them out onto the street.
Never did I think that I would be in a situation like this.
The other side of the homeless crisis, a Portland woman living in an RV with her daughter now has a more stable home.
It's bigger than our last place, for sure.
Want to see the bathroom?
And later, we ask Oregon Governor candidate Betsy Johnson why her new views on gun control contradict her voting record.
A lot of people are going to say these new positions sound like politically expedient, a flip-flop.
I reject that.
Here's the story.
I'm Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. Congratulations, we made it to Friday. All the ways to communicate with us right there at the bottom of your screen. You can email us. The address is thestory@kgw.com. You can use the hashtag TheStoryKGW on Twitter or leave us a voicemail. Call our phone number 503-226-5090. Tonight, an outrageous example of how a rent hike has a Clark County family teetering on the edge of homelessness. It's a fear that a lot of people feel even if their rents don't jump so dramatically. Blair Best spoke to the family who lives near Amboy. They face a 150% rent increase. You heard that right, 150%. Guess what? They say they can't afford it and they're afraid they're going to end up on the streets.
We're in dire straits. We don't know where we're going to go. We have no savings.
For the past 3 years, Jason Zellman and his family have been living in this modified trailer in Amboy, Washington.
Through COVID and everything, we've paid our rent. We've always paid our rent.
Their landlord just raised their rent from $800 a month to $2,000. That's a 150% increase.
That's ridiculous. And if this place is a beautiful view and everything, but it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath modified trailer.
It's sickening. I have a knot in my stomach all the time.
Zellman and his partner Lucy Hanning both lost their jobs during the pandemic. Now moving boxes fill their living room.
This is our life, all packed up.
Each day spent in fear of being evicted.
If we hear a car come up the driveway, we're like, who is that? Is that them?
It's so crazy.
Since they can't pay the increased rent and can't find an apartment in their budget.
It's a way to force us out because they know that we can't afford it.
In March, the landlord sent them this notice saying rent will increase to $2,000 a month starting June 1st, along with other warnings, including this 14-day notice to pay rent or vacate and reasonable payment agreements, which the tenants say they followed. KGW reached out to the landlord's attorney for comment, but did not hear back.
For the first time in my life, I'm 49. I feel completely helpless.
But Zellman isn't alone. Once Washington's eviction moratorium lifted in the end of February, many rents across Clark County increased by about 15%. There's also been a rise in evictions. That's according to Roy Johnson at the Vancouver Housing Authority.
It really creates where they're having to live in, situations that they normally wouldn't want to, whether it's being homeless.
More than 50% of Clark County households are spending more than 30% of their income on rent.
It's a daunting type of problem.
Housing is largely out of reach for many typical folks in Clark County.
Charlene Welch is with the Council for Homeless, a nonprofit helping vulnerable families in Clark County access housing support, such as emergency shelter and rental assistance. According to an annual report by the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, for families in Clark County to afford a 2-bedroom apartment, they need to work 67 hours a week and earn at least $3 above the minimum wage.
Working an average job in Clark County can still not give you enough income to be able to afford renting in the private market.
Never did I think that I would be in a situation like this.
In Amboy, Washington, Blair Best, KGW News.
Oregon has a statewide law prohibiting such rent increases. Rent can only go up 7% plus the annual rate of inflation. Speaking of homelessness, last month we brought you a KGW documentary called One Day. It captured the street-level response to Portland's homeless crisis over a 24-hour period. Well, since that documentary aired, a lot of people have asked, whatever happened to some of those folks we met, including a woman and her 5-year-old daughter who were living in an RV? Well, tonight Kyla Boshi brings us some good news.
Brush your hair. Oh, you want me to brush your hair now? Okay. When we first met Tiana McMullen,
are you good at sharing?
She and her daughter dreamed of living in an apartment.
This is the tiny house.
They wanted safety, stability, and were tired of being forced to move from one spot to the next.
The kitchen, you know, it's not the biggest, but
in the crowded RV they called home.
Sometimes it would be nice to have like a more permanent home for water and power and all that.
Yeah, come on, show them to your room.
Well, 1 month later,
she's the fast one.
We're happy to report that Tiana and little Skylar have a new place.
Yeah, this is it. This is the room. It's pretty big, actually. It's bigger than our last place, for sure.
Want to see the bathroom?
They moved into a family shelter called Lilac Meadows in southeast Portland.
Is that where we take our baths at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Their converted motel room has a bath with warm, running water.
There's toilet paper.
And toilet paper.
A toilet, electricity, a TV.
Yeah, that's your bed, yeah.
Comfortable beds.
It's great. It's a lot better than my little motorhome mattress, for sure.
And plenty of space.
I do love it. It's really comfy. Way comfier than the motorhome, for sure.
The room came equipped with everything they needed.
That's your refrigerator? Uh-huh. Yeah, nice. Yeah, we didn't have one of those till now.
This is the microwave.
Good job.
In the documentary One Day, KGW captured the street-level response to Portland's homeless crisis during a 24-hour period. We chronicled the struggle that unfolds day in and day out, often stressing our social systems and creating friction among neighbors.
We got our windows shot out. We had neighbors come out, like a gang of them against us.
They just care about what's going on in their lives. But if they just put a little bit of more care into what's going on in other people's lives, it'll probably make their life better too. Like, you know, neighbors that are like, oh, the motorhomes and stuff. Well, maybe if we try and encourage these people to get the resources to find housing and stuff, and instead of attacking them all the time, you know, tearing them down, then maybe it could help them, you know, get off the streets and get out of their neighborhoods and stuff.
It's a little rough sometimes, yeah.
After appearing in the documentary, Tiana said she heard from concerned family and friends, including a former employer at the Best Western. The hotel just rehired her to help do laundry.
They saw me on the One Day thing and they were like, hey, do you need a job? Like, and I was like, yeah, I'll come back to work there because I loved working there. It's like my home away from home. Yeah.
After calling 211, a line that connects people to social service programs, Tiana was directed to a nonprofit called Human Solutions.
Yeah.
A day later,
I love you.
She and Skylar had stable, temporary housing.
And it was just like one day, all these great things just happened. It was like, wow, domino effect, like, phew.
Tiana says she'll be able to stay in the family shelter indefinitely.
Air conditioner.
Although she's working hard to get her own apartment.
Can you talk to him?
Her family's expanding.
August 31st.
I love you.
You love him?
A little boy is on the way. And she wants to have a permanent place they can all call home.
Skylar! Yeah. Stay.
Kyle, I know that her story really touched a lot of our viewers. We got a lot of emails in here to the show, The Story. And what kind of response have you received from viewers?
It really has been overwhelmingly positive. The full documentary One Day is available on the KGW YouTube channel. Certainly encourage folks to check it out. And you know, those comments in the comment portion, I mean, they can be pretty brutal sometimes, but in this case, I felt like the comments are actually quite thoughtful, and a lot of people have asked, how can we help here? So we've got a story on the KGW website about One Day and how people can contribute to the various organizations that we feature in the documentary.
And what about the others that we featured in that documentary as well? How are they doing?
Yeah, we hope to follow up in the next few weeks to find out, and certainly hope for similar outcomes to what you saw just there. This week, I did get a chance to speak with one of the nonprofits featured in One Day, PDX Saints Love. They were the ones, you might remember, they were giving haircuts to folks. They've received a number of donations from people who saw the documentary and really appreciate the work that they're doing.
It's remarkable when the community comes together, you show them a problem, they start getting involved in a solution. Thanks a lot, Kyle. One of the nonprofits featured in KGW's Homeless Special is a group we are raising money for this week with our Hey Help segment. We're asking you to donate to Because People Matter. They're based in Portland and hold an event each night called Night Strike. And they do that once a week for people experiencing homelessness. Every Thursday night under the Burnside Bridge, the group offers hot meals, haircuts, clothing, shoes, and sleeping bags. If you want to help, just hold up your phone's camera to the QR code on your screen now, or you can go to kgw.com/heyhelp. And by the way, here's a clip showing their work from our documentary, One Day.
Night Strike, I guess in a broad sense, is an event, an opportunity for a community to come together and serve our houseless population. So we try to at least make Night Strike a place where once a week they have a community they can rely on and they'll get things that they need, but they also can see their friends.
My name is Anthony Georgette. I'm a staff volunteer here at Night Strike.
What do you think about a beanie or something, or a hat? We get people that, they're sleeping in tents on the side of the street. We also get people who, money is extremely tight. And by extremely tight, I mean they're getting help just so that they can pay their rent and have shelter, but they don't even have money for clothing. Foot washing station is exactly what it sounds like, right? So we make sure that the guest has everything that they need to go from, the dirtiest feet that you've ever seen to the prettiest feet that they've ever had in their life.
Having someone be able to come to your level and do something that might seem demeaning to you, but they take it and make it just, it's normal, and you deserve that just as much as anyone else.
People are trying, they just need the help for whatever reason. Maybe they're suffering with addiction, maybe it's a mental health crisis. I don't know, and to be honest, when I'm here, I don't really care, because what I see is somebody that needs underwear, for instance. That's what I know. And if that can help them get through the next week, a clean pair of underwear, and help them get an interview so they can get a job, so they can start supporting themselves, that's what I'm here for.
Here's that QR code again. This is a micro donation drive, so feel free to give any amount, no matter how small.
Remember when Governor candidate Betsy Johnson said this right after the mass shooting at a Texas elementary school?
The style of the gun doesn't dictate the lethality.
That got a lot of backlash. And now she's trying to explain herself.
I was trying to make a point and I did it stupidly. And I'll just say that. I was stupid.
When the story continues.
Welcome back. Keep sending your questions and comments to the story at kgw.com. I just checked. A lot of you are talking to us about that Amboy rent hike story. Excellent. Keep them coming. You could also give us a call, leave a voicemail at 503-226-5090. Well, a lot of you have also been telling us you want to hear more from Oregon candidate Governor Betsy Johnson. So tonight is your night. She's Laurel Porter's guest on Straight Talk. It's a 25-minute interview, so you can hear where she stands on everything from abortion to climate change. We also wanted to ask her about her stance on gun safety measures. You'll remember Johnson made a surprise appearance at the TEDx conference in Portland last month, and then this happened.
Stop. The style of the gun doesn't dictate the lethality. But I think...
Laurel asked her about that. Here's how she answered.
You said the style of the gun doesn't dictate the lethality. Do you really believe that an AR-15 style rifle isn't as lethal as a handgun?
No, I was trying to make a point and I did it stupidly. And I'll just say that. I was stupid. Let me start from the premise that I have been a responsible gun owner and I have supported the Second Amendment. But I think what we're hearing nationally and here in Oregon is the need to keep guns out of the wrong hands. Irresponsible young people and people not mentally capable of handling weapons. I very much support raising the age limit from 18 to 21. And I would enthusiastically look at more aggressive background checks.
Well, let's listen to your voting record in the past, because you said you are a gun owner and you've been vocal about gun rights, and really your position has been absolute. You have an A from the NRA, which is not easy to get. You voted against every measure that's come up in the legislature, and let me just mention some of them. You voted against a 2015 expansion of background checks that you now say you support to cover private firearm transfers. You also voted against a 2017 bipartisan red flag law that was sponsored by a Republican that allows judges to issue extreme protection orders to require a person to surrender their firearms temporarily if they're a risk to themselves or others. And then just last year, you voted against the safe storage law. So now, 2 weeks after TEDx, when you were highly criticized, a lot of people are going to say these new positions sound like politically expedient, a flip-flop.
I reject that. It wasn't TEDx. It was Uvalde. and the 10 shootings over the Memorial Day weekend and Tulsa. I believe that the mood of the country is changing. The whole premise of my campaign has been, let's bring people together in the middle to try to solve problems. And if I remain rigid in my views, I'm not true to a message of compromise and collaboration. Right now, the extreme left wants to take all the guns and defund the police. The extreme right wants this to just go away. I believe that I am uniquely suited to lead the conversation about how to get practicable solutions to the problem of having irresponsible young people with guns and people with lacking mental capacity to have guns.
A majority of Americans do support a ban on the sale of assault-style weapons. Would you ever consider supporting that?
Again, I think that's the prerogative of the feds. Let me just tell you about the faith leaders in Portland. They are trying to get that on the ballot. I know they are.
So would you support that if they get that on the ballot? Here in Oregon.
If it goes on the ballot and the people pass it and I'm the governor, I'll enforce it.
But would you vote for it?
I don't know. And the reason that I say I don't know is that I don't know what the four corners of the page look like. And I generally don't commit to voting on something that I don't know all of the elements. It has to protect due process. I don't know how many subject matters are in these particular ballot measures. But the point that you should take away is I'm open to discussion and compromise. I'm not way over here on the left saying, let's grab your guns. And once upon a time, there was a bill in the legislature that would have authorized warrantless searches for guns. And I'm not over here on the right saying there's no movement and I just want this to go away. I'm offering the opportunity to talk about this, representing a perspective that I think could convene people.
Well, let me throw something else out there. Would you support banning high-capacity magazines over 10 rounds?
Again, I think the feds are looking at that, and that's in one of the ballot measures. And if the ballot measure passes, I will enforce that as governor.
But you're not sure if you'd vote for it until you look at it more closely.
I think that's fair. I think trying to...
But in practicality, I mean, you could say, I don't support having assault weapons, semi-automatic weapons out there. I don't support magazines over 10 rounds. You don't have to look at all the details.
Well, I beg to differ. I think the details matter. The issue that I have is that we have to protect due process. I want to see what the four corners of the page say. What I'm offering and what I hope you take away is the chance to convene a conversation. To shed the rigidity of saying, let's not talk about this, or let's just come at it from the perspective of taking guns away from law-abiding citizens. I'm offering the opportunity to have a conversation.
Do you think the NRA what grade do you think they'll give you now?
I don't care.
As you can tell, a little spicy. You can watch the entire interview tonight on Straight Talk. That's at 7 o'clock or anytime on our KGW YouTube channel. When we come back, you know about 911 for medical and police emergencies. Soon, there will be a similar number for mental health emergencies, 988. We'll take a look at how it will work and why it's needed when we return. Let's talk about mental health and an exciting change that's coming in the way that people ask for help. It involves the phone number 988, and some of you are already picking up on it. Bo wrote in this week saying, I just watched a story on NBC Nightly News about the new 988 mental health hotline starting in July. Is Oregon ready for an increased response that is expected? Well, thanks for that question, Bo. The short answer is mostly yes. The hotlines are hiring more call takers, and they do expect a brief surge in calls, and then they think it's going to kind of fade, and then it'll grow significantly over a couple of years. It's going to be a huge deal and a big change to the way that people get help. That's why I sat down yesterday with Dwight Holton, the local leader for Lines for Life.
At Portland-based Lines for Life, call takers help 37,000 people a year with a variety of issues involving mental health and drug abuse. The phone number, 800-273-8255, is 10 digits long. On July 16th, the new phone number will be simply 988.
Really excited. 988 is going to be a new service, a new way to reach help when you're in crisis.
Dwight Holton is CEO of Lines for Life. He offered ideas during the development of the nationwide plan and believes it's a simple phone number that will make a big difference.
We've had for many years the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. What 988 is going to do is transform that by making it super easy to get help when you're in crisis or when you see someone else in crisis. Just like we have 911 for when you've got a police or fire emergency, we'll have 988 for when there's a mental health crisis.
Did you catch that last part? When you see someone else in crisis, the 988 number will also allow you to report people who seem to be struggling, and when things work perfectly, a mental health specialist will be sent to them. The idea, similar to Portland's street response, is to take the load off police and emergency dispatchers, not just in the big cities, but in any community in America.
We believe there's a real opportunity here to take some of that need and bring it to 988, because lots of the folks who are calling 911 are really calling about a mental health challenge. And that's not an appropriate law enforcement role. That's not how they're trained to do, and it can be dangerous. Frankly,
Lines for Life is part of the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It has a counterpart in Marion County called Northwest Human Services. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline was authorized by Congress back in 2005. It now has 180 independently operated and funded local call centers. The national network also includes 38 text and chat programs and 3 that are specifically for Spanish speakers. On July 16th, all will share that 988 phone number. Anyone calling will be routed to the closest call center based on area code. The goal will be to give someone a person to talk to, and if needed, someone to talk with in person, and if necessary, a place they can go. It's an ambitious program that will be paid for by the federal government. It's expected to cost taxpayers $282 million in 2022. In Portland, Dwight Holton thinks the new program with its new services and 988 phone number will make a big difference.
It's all about no wrong door. It's all about being easy for people to get connected with help and hope, and easy to connect people who are trying to help somebody else with help and hope too.
That 988 number does not start until mid-July. In the meantime, if you or somebody you know needs someone to talk with, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. They have compassionate, trained counselors ready for you anytime, day or night. The number there on your screen, 800-273-8255. Keep sending your questions and comments to the story at KGW.com. When we come back, a trip back in time thanks to the KGW Vault. We'll visit the 1990 Grand Floral Parade. Tomorrow morning, the Grand Floral Parade will kick off on Portland's east side at 10 a.m. It's back after a 2-year absence thanks to COVID. We thought this might be a good time to travel back in time to the Grand Floral in the Vault. Here's part of our coverage from the 1990 parade with hosts Tracy Berry, Pete Schulberg, and Robin Leach.
Welcome back to the Delta Airlines Grand Floral Parade. You know, I'm the man that's known for champagne, but every time that I've come to Portland, Oregon, I've been impressed with this drink called branch water, which has Christmas trees, Douglas firs, which you're famous for. And this year, thanks to Roger Long, the branch water man, I'm taking 2 little baby Douglas firs back with me to California. We're going to split them up, put them in the back garden, and have a 200-foot Christmas tree of our very own.
In a couple of years, yeah.
You didn't cut that off there, did you?
No, I didn't cut it off there, but cheers, everybody.
And he's going to drink it.
He loves it.
Here's a powerhouse band from Sunset High School in Beaverton, Oregon. Here comes the Apollos. This group has been winning awards all year long, including first place at the University of Oregon Festival of Bands. They took home second place in last year's Grand Floral Parade, looking pretty good again today. 130 members under the directorship of Greg Hall, and the drum major is Anna Todd.
All those teenagers are nearly 40 now. Don't you just love a parade? I guess not everybody does, but I sure do. The live music, the marching bands, and the floats, and the horses, and the kids sitting on the curb drawing with chalk in the street. It's all wonderful. This is just my opinion, but I'm so glad we're back to doing those big crowd gatherings for Rose Festival and other events. We humans are sort of a herd type animal. We need contact with other humans. COVID forced us to stay away, and the isolation, it was awful for many of us. But now we have a chance to gather again, to look at someone we don't know and smile and wish them well. It's a chance to watch little kids giggle and play as they wait for the floats, to see elders carefully step through the hatches of those military ships at our seawall, and to hear them tell a story or two. Yes, it might be damp, although Matt says probably not tomorrow. So what? Get out and enjoy it. Don't ruminate over the problems that you have in your mind, and we all have them, but enjoy the moment right in front of you. And remember, despite all the bad news you hear, there is a lot of good happening in our world. And events like Rose Festival, which you can enjoy with tens of thousands of new friends, is a good example of that. Now get out there and enjoy the weekend. That's the end of our show. Thanks for watching. Remember, the story, our story, well, that never ends. I'll see you next week.
This is KGW News at 6:30.